Some messages need to get through, like making sure they're buckled up the whole ride, every time. Do whatever it takes to make your child listen. Jen, I friended your boyfriend.
Wait, what?
Buckle up, sweetie.
Never give up until they buckle up. Learn more at safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
The trade deadline is approaching fast, and there's no better time for you to trade up your vehicle as well during the Finley Acura trade-up sales event in the Valley Auto Mall. Right now, save thousands on the all-new and pre-owned vehicles like the all-new RDX, MDX, TLX, and ILX. Plus, save up to $8,000 on the RLX and have your choice of $500 towards your first-year registration or 3 years of free maintenance. Finley Acura has access to the largest pre-owned inventory in all of Nevada. So don't delay. Trade up today at Finley Acura in the Valley Auto Mall and visit us at FinleyAcura.com.
I'm with Cliff Miller from MJ Christensen at Boca Park. Cliff, I'm an old guy. I got some old jewelry. Any ideas what I can do with it?
Oh, absolutely. One of our largest categories is custom design. My son Rusty does it all. And it's the most incredible thing to see styles that are 30, 40 years old that people haven't worn in years and see what he creates out of those diamonds, precious gems, and that metal. And you will be sparkling and feel top of the world when you leave MJ Christensen.
MJ Christensen, located at Boca Park.
So you're ready to ask the biggest question of your life, the only question before that question. How do you find the perfect ring to ask it with? With the incredible selection of diamonds at Jared and our price match guarantee, you can dare to stop searching and find the perfect diamond at a price you'll love. Visit your local Jared store today and dare to be devoted.
We promise to match any price on a like loose certified diamond of the same quality from any other jewelry retailer. See jared.com/price match for details.
Ready to get tough, Las Vegas? Tough Heat-em Bull Riding is coming to South Point Arena Saturday, March 2nd. Don't miss 2,000-pound temperamental bulls versus the world's greatest bull riders. Presented by Boot Barn and Discount Tire. Tickets start at $30. Go to southpointarena.com or call 702-797-8055. Visit any Boot Barn or Discount Tire for $5 off. Tough Heat-em Bull Riding. Saturday, March 2nd at South Point. Don't miss it.
When you own a small business, it can be a struggle to get paid in a timely manner. Stop waiting and get paid on your invoices now with accounts receivable financing from Business Finance Corporation. We're local and we make it so easy. You invoice your customer, we pay the invoice and deposit the money in your bank account. Then your customer pays us back. No more waiting to get paid. Check out businessfinancecorporation.com today or call us at 702-947-3800. That's 702-947-3800.
Time to start planning for the 2019 swim season. Call B&D Pool Plastering and remodel your tired-looking pool. With B&D's 2019 swim season pricing, beat the rush. For a free estimate, call B&D Pool Plastering, 702-644-8980.
No guts, no glory. This is Monster Jam. Presented by official partners America's Best Contacts and Eyeglasses and Big AT Tires. Tickets start at $15. Restrictions may apply. Coming to Sam Boyd Stadium March 23rd.
You're going to love the Best Mattress President's Day sale. Save up to $600 on select Eye Comfort and Beauty Rest adjustable sets. Or get a Serta Perfect Sleeper Super Pillow Top Queen mattress for just $4.99. Best Mattress, home with a 120-day Sleep Easy guarantee.
On Twitter, follow us at the LV Sportsline and at ESPN 1100.
Hello, friends. This is Thomas Johnson from Joe's Seafood Prime Steak and Stone Crab. Need a great idea for lunch or dinner? Your best bet is Joe's, one of the most popular dining destinations on the Strip. Joe's provides the ideal setting for private parties with accommodations for up to 150 guests. Stop by to see us at the Forum Shops at Caesars and ask for Thomas Johnson, your maitre d'.
I happen to be watching a new HBO documentary on the life of Nick Buonaconti. Last night. It's a great documentary. It's sad because he is suffering from brain trauma. But it's a great documentary. And at one point in the documentary, they're talking about winning the Super Bowl in Miami and celebrating at Joe's.
Oh, does he still do the champagne every year?
I don't know if he does it now.
Okay.
I mean, he's not doing very well.
Okay.
But yeah, possible. That's the original Joe's. We have our own here at the Forum Shops at Caesars Palace. And if you've never been, you got to go. It's awesome. 702-792-9222, excuse me, is the phone number to make reservations. Do it. Have yourself a great time at Joe's. What's our angle today, Ralph?
You know what? I'm going back to my old roots in the Horizon League, and I'll tell you what, it warms my heart when a team like Youngstown State is turning it around. Second year, they have now won 6 straight games, and they are playing good basketball. And I love when they bring in a new coach. Cleveland State is not to that stage yet, but in that stage, they played great defense. They're 3-11 over under their last 14 games. Northern Kentucky 2-7 over under at home their last 9 games. Again, the Penguins are playing some defense. It's Northern Kentucky, Youngstown State under the total.
We have been bitching about the weather here during the break, and we must cease and desist as far as bitching about the weather is concerned, because we're going someplace where I can guarantee you the weather we're having.
It snows, eh?
Yeah, I mean, the weather we're having, they'd be looking at us and saying, you people are the biggest sissies on the planet. And they'd be right. Dave Millhouse joining us from Millhouse Sports, and you are someplace where it doesn't get real warm in the wintertime, does it?
Well, warm's not a word in the wintertime here, guys.
No, that's
Thank you very much for having me on the show.
It's a pleasure, Dave. And one of the reasons I wanted to have you on is, look, the UFC is huge in this town, and we probably don't pay as much attention to it as we should on this show. But we really need to start even increasing the coverage, because from a betting perspective, it gets bigger and bigger. And this series on ESPN is going to do a lot of business at the windows here and elsewhere, with legalized wagering now popping up in other locations. So this is big stuff.
Oh, yeah, I agree. I'm not sure it's going to affect the lines too much. It might help balance them out for a bit. But as long as there's more popularity, there'll be more events and more edges for us to find. And I feel like the market's a little bit looser than some of the others, so I'm very happy with getting into UFC.
Well, let's take a look at this weekend on ESPN. We'll get into some other UFC aspects as well. But on this card this weekend, have you seen anything that maybe has piqued your interest a bit in terms of either a bet or just a really good fight to watch?
Well, there's definitely a lot of good fights to watch. This is like a mixed martial arts fan's dream come true, this kind of card. There's a lot of skill and a lot of unknown with some young guys making their debut or with very small sample sizes, but a lot of promise. As far as from a betting perspective, though, I've managed to make 3 bets, and I got a couple of them here for you.
Sounds good.
Get into that?
Yeah, that sounds
great. Well, the first one is going to be Jillian Robertson versus Veronica Macedo. Jillian Robertson's a 23-year-old Canadian. She's only 5-3 in the MMA. And I think that has a little bit to do with the value I see sitting on her today. But I really do like what I see. She keeps getting better, and she definitely looks more comfortable in this new weight class. She moved up a division. So from what I can just see in the film, she looks better than Macedo at just about everything. And by the numbers, we see the exact same thing. She's landing about 50% of her takedowns in the UFC. She's attempting 8.5 per fight and landing 4.2. So every single round, she's getting more than a takedown. She's a total animal, 10.6 grappling advances per 15 minutes. These numbers are staggering, and of course it's a small sample size and not the greatest competition. But she doesn't like to get into slugfests. She just takes control. And her opponent, Macedo, she can't stop a takedown. She's a 50% takedown defense rate in her 0-2 UFC career. And in my opinion, her competitors in those fights don't have quite as good of grappling skills. Now, I say it's just an opinion because the sample size is so low. But, her striking is sloppy. She can't stop the takedown. And I believe the odds makers definitely undervalued Robertson here at -150.
Yes.
I capped it around. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, that like most UFC fights, it's really competitively priced. So, you can find some value even on favorites in UFC, which you generally can't find in boxing.
Yes, I find a lot more value in favorites in UFC than I do in boxing. Boxing is so inflated.
Yeah.
But I capped her around -210, and I don't see how she doesn't win the rounds here. And the beautiful thing about women's UFC is there's just a little bit less power in the punch, a little bit less chance of knockout, and the lucky punch changing things. So I really do believe we'll get our way here. I wagered 1.5% on that -150 line for Jillian Robertson.
All right. Well, how about one more?
All right, I got one more for you. I like Demirez Magulov versus Joel Alvarez. Joel Alvarez he turns 26 next week. He's making his UFC debut. He's 15-1, 14 of them by submission, 1 by KO. That's just quite the stat sheet there, but he's fought a low level of competition over in Spain, and but he crushed it and did all you could ask of him. But he seems to do a lot of damage from his back, lots of triangle chokes, guillotine chokes, finishes like that. And his strength of that ground game there is going to be offset by his opponent here. This guy, Demir, he just turned 28 this month. He's got one UFC fight to his name, but he looked really good. He's 17-2 as a pro. But he's fought a much better level of competition to get that 17-2. And a small sample size on his stats with the UFC, but the one thing that stood out so much is he's 5 for 11 on his takedowns in that UFC fight. And once he got on top, he stayed on top, and he had a great top game. So I don't think Joel is going to be able to do anything from the bottom once this guy takes him down. And it's a big mismatch.
Hey, Dave, two questions, and just brief answers if you have them. What's more important to you, current form or body of work? You got a lot of guys that have had 10 or 11 fights, fighting guys that have 25 or 30 fights this weekend, or is it the type of style they have comparing the two fighters against each other?
Well, it's a balance of both. I like a good stylistic matchup is usually where I like to start, and then I like to work my way through it from there. And a lot of these lines are so hard to bet. There's not too many that you find around minus 110 aside. So I take my time with them, pretty low volume. But, yeah, it's a definite mix of like the level of competition and how many fights you've had. And that's the problem here. There's a lot of guys with the unknown, I would say.
All right. And I actually, when I sent you the rundown, I said maybe talk about a couple of fighters on the rise or maybe someone in decline. I want to bring up a specific guy, and that's Greg Hardy, because there's just a tremendous amount of attention on him right now, former NFL player who has entered the UFC. He's looked good. Now, he hasn't faced anybody yet, but speculation is he's going to be moved up in class shortly. And so without having a body of work against anybody of consequence, is he going to automatically get overrated by the bettors, or are they sharp enough so that they might actually create value on Hardy? I mean, to me, it's going to be an interesting thing to watch.
Yeah, I think he looks pretty raw. I've watched a lot of his work, and they're definitely throwing him some punching bags. They want to keep the interest high in another professional athlete crossing over, without a doubt here.
All right, so
they probably will baby him.
I'll bring up a specific name, because the UFC. One thing the UFC doesn't do, and this is one of the reasons I think they've succeeded more than boxing. When they get a prospect, they move him along. Okay, boxing, you'd have the same guy fighting 20 stiffs in a row, and you already knew what was going to happen in the fight. So Hardy's going to fight somebody soon, and there's already speculation that it might be somebody like Arlovsky, who's not what he was, but is still a big name, still has drawing power. How would you handicap an event like that with a guy who might have talent, but we don't know yet, against a guy who we know had talent, but he's on the other side of the mountain?
Yeah, that's a very tough one. I'd imagine that Hardy would probably be a small favorite in that fight. But I'd have to go through my numbers on Arlovsky and on him, of course. But it is hard to handicap. But when a guy's on his way out and he's trying to get a few paychecks and he's got a good resume, you can't take the full sample size of his work. I try to sometimes I always pinch off the last 4 fights for a guy. But for someone like Arlovsky, yeah, you might definitely want to cut off like half of his record minimum, maybe 3/4 of it, and just really take a look at how he's been looking lately. He's still pretty tough. He's still pretty durable. I don't know how durable Hardy is. They've thrown him like just a few punching bags, and he's killed them all. But he doesn't look like a good striker or good movement or good anything. He's a beast. And when he finally hits you, you go to sleep.
Yeah.
Hey, Dave, I have a question being a novice UFC fan. Is there more value on the UFC compared to Bellator? Or is Bellator sort of a minor league for UFC? Just fill me in on that.
I'm not honestly too sure which one provides more value. I think they're pretty accurate. Fight stats are fight stats pretty much, I guess, and that goes into the line. And the level of competition in each is the same, So the Bellator guys are getting their stats the same way through the Bellator guys, and I think the lines are pretty consistent. Occasionally you'll get a guy in Bellator, though, with good plus money. I find that the occasional dog. There was Congo the other day sitting, and he closed at just over plus 400, which I thought was kind